Awesome. Well, welcome. Today we're going to talk about civility and discourse in society. I'm hoping for an interactive presentation, but I do ask that kind of one person speaks at a time because the acoustics in here are great for hearing one-on-one conversation, not so great if everybody's talking at once, okay? So I want lots of talking, but just sort of one person at a time. Is that okay?
Sure. Yes, sir.
Awesome. Thank you. We'll start off with something hopefully easy, something that you might have experienced in your life. I want you to think about a time when you've witnessed or maybe been a part of a full-on meltdown in like an online chat group or online posting, something along those lines. Think about these examples. Does anybody have a really good example of when you witnessed like a full-on meltdown and what that was like, what it was about? Yes, sir. Tell me more about that.
It's like the refuge of bad form.
Yeah. And so a whole bunch of people just start posting uncontrollably about how bad it is. But you see it more in person.
Yeah, like
A group chat. Yeah. What's
When I
good?
connected to that, and it seemed like we was a big deal.
Yes.
Or
Yeah, that's true. Whether they're real or whether they're memes, yeah, you do see a lot of posting about an angry over a loss. Yeah. Elections. Tell me more about that.
people like, if they can't even like win.
Yes. Yes. Good hand up.
There was this little kid who was like screaming and crying at her parents for not getting the color of letting
Oh, really? That's amazing. So this was like an online video or something that you saw, or did you witness this in person?
No, this was a video.
Online video. Okay, so the girl didn't get the color of Lamborghini she wanted.
Yeah.
Nice. What do you got for me?
Kanye West recently had kind of a meltdown.
Kanye West. Yes. Now, so let's expand this a little bit. Have you been hanging out with your friends? You've been hanging out with your friends. Have you been part of a team, maybe in the locker room, something like that? Have you been in a class or something, and that you have personally witnessed or been a part of like a full-on meltdown, emotional explosion? Yeah.
Yeah, one time my teammates were like suing this guy the entire night. We were arguing, the kid put soap and like cream and lotion all over the floor for like a foot long, like probably from there to like there. So when they walk out, they would slip his ball on him.
Wow.
And he like started screaming and crap.
Oh, right. So they've been messing with him this whole time, and then
Yeah.
that's cool. What do you got for me?
In my English class here, so we really got to do on my assignments.
B. Okay.
And she did 3 decks. That's the round classic.
Really? Wow. All over a B.
All over the
Wow. We'll come back over here. How about you?
One of my buddies got real mad. He ripped the projector off the ceiling and threw it out the window.
Like a projector?
Yeah, like took a projector, ripped it off the roof, and then threw it through the window.
Wow. What do you got?
After water polo practice one day, a couple guys stole some stuff from the litter bag and locked it. One of the other locked it, the random lock. And he was really mad about that and started screaming.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. What do you got?
Get on my basketball team, but he was good for not being there. And I started punching a locker a lot and ended up.
He
Wow.
missed it.
Punching a locker. Okay.
We didn't have a really good football practice one day, and one of the guys, who was one of our leaders, almost handed the locker out of the unit.
Oh my goodness. So wow. Let's go over here and then we'll finish up down here.
It was an archery practice, and this one girl, you're supposed to be quiet when people are firing on the line. She just wouldn't shut up. She was yelling a lot, being really loud. So when she was told repeatedly by everyone else, be quiet, she kind of brushed it off. And then once our sergeant yelled at her to be quiet, she randomly snapped, started saying that she was getting targeted, that it was unfair, and then she went in the corner and started rocking back and forth and crying.
Wow.
Because she was quiet.
Because she wouldn't be quiet. Okay. Up here and then we'll finish.
He won't be funny either.
So I was in a class with one of my buddies one time, and apparently this girl liked him, and she asked him out, and he said no, so she just flat out jumped at him and attacked him in class.
Wow.
That's love right there.
Wow. Hold on.
cafeteria one day and I saw this guy in the middle of a fight pick up another person and slam him on the floor. And like,
My type of
ripping his
question.
shirt and stuff and grabbing him when he was getting away.
So that is an extreme example.
Austin
Okay,
Key.
now hold on, we'll have more discussion here in a minute. But I want you to think now, let's say that you read a chat, or you're in one of these in-person situations, and you are completely disagreeing with the other person. And you feel that little fire start to build up inside you, and you know you should throw down in that very moment because you are in such disagreement. But I know you guys, since you're here at Premier Boy State, I know that you would take a pause, right? Like you would be better than some of those examples we just heard about. And that pause, that moment, that is civility. That is what we're here to talk about today. Okay, and I want you to look at some of these definitions. I want to go over some of this just real briefly. Discourse is written or spoken communication or debate. Civility is formal politeness and courtesy in behavior and speech. Disagreement is a lack of consensus or approval. And these are all normal parts of interactions and conversations and debates. Okay? Where we cross the line is when we get into disrespect. And some of these examples that you guys gave me were far and away great examples of disrespect, which is, obviously a lack of respect or an insult to someone else. So we're going to talk, we're going to try to be up here above the line, right? Like that's what we're aiming for as you have interactions both here and in the future. So what do you think is the current state of civility in your local community back home? Again, we'll take some volunteers, but let's just please keep it to one at a time. So what do you think? Think about your local community back home. What is your sense of civility there?
I find everyone really nice.
Really?
Chill, yeah.
That's great. Because you're all sort of a close, tight-knit community. Yeah, that's great. What about you?
Most places in my school are really uncivil, and no one's really able to take criticism without finding it as a personal insult in the majority.
Yeah, so any criticism, personal insult, yeah.
For the most part, those in higher positions are pretty well behaved. But other people in lower class areas will more likely pull out a knife for no reason, just because.
Okay, wow, all right. What do you got?
It's usually like a 50-50. You're either going to get a person who's completely respectful and can disagree with you, or you're going to get a person who will start an argument
Yeah,
out of anything.
so it kind of depends on who you're with and where you're at. Let's go over here.
In my school, at least, when it comes to like making or anything, people there very quickly just start like saying things that are not the nicest things to say to people.
Okay.
And you're saying it's related to their own identity, be it like race or stuff.
All right. Yes, sir.
Okay, so a couple years ago, back at my school, it was not going too good, like there was being a whole lot of arguments, but in like the last year and stuff, it hasn't really been that bad.
Oh, good. So you've actually witnessed some improvement over the last year or so.
Yeah.
That's great. What about you?
Fine until someone starts arguing about politics or religion.
So things are great until we start talking about politics. That's a great segue to my next question. Think about it. How do you all perceive the level of civility across the United States? What do you got for me down here?
I think it's pretty bad.
Yeah?
Yeah, people just stick to the people and they're always just attacking.
Okay. What do you have, sir?
It's very split ideology. People want to agree with the people that agree with them and only want to enforce their own ideas without trying to go out and see the other side.
So yeah, very, very tribal, like you're just sort of split into your own camp. Yeah? Polarized is a good one. What do you got for me?
I agree that a lot of it's very polarized, but I think most of America is actually leaning towards the middle. But since the media is so set on trying to divide the nation, we just have very polarized ideology.
Okay, so it's, yeah, depending on which media you're consuming, that's what you're hearing about. Most people are more in the middle. Okay, that's a great perspective. What do you got?
I think it's for the most part good until like someone disagrees with you or you disagree with them, then they think that you're being disrespectful.
Right, so if you're in like an anonymous online chat, it can go from 0 to 60 pretty quickly.
Yeah, especially online.
Yeah, especially online, yeah. Yes.
I think most of the in-person conversations you can have with someone will be, for the most part, civil, unless obviously you connect with the wrong person that day or whatever it is.
Right.
But it's when you get online that things start to break down and cross the line in the sand for disrespect. Because if they can't see your face, they don't know who you are. So it's like you're nothing to them. You're not human online. So a lot of people tend to be much more disrespectful online versus having more civil conversations in person.
Right, so if you're traveling on vacation, you can have civil conversations with different people from across the country. You engage in some kind of online debate, it could explode simply because it's more anonymous. Yeah? Yeah.
It seems like every day you'll have like a few very big figures in politics going from being friends to calling each other pedophiles on Twitter.
Yeah, there's a lot of that where it can just explode, right? Let's take a couple more. Yes, sir.
I just don't think there's a lot of like acknowledgement for character or again like just respect for each other. I think a lot of stuff is made off of like shallow, just like assumptions.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of hatred involved nowadays behind stuff that's not really you can't really back up. It's just all from strong opinions that aren't really like they don't carry a lot of like I guess like leverage.
Yeah, well said. We'll go up here and then we'll finish over here.
And just to piggyback off what Joe said, I think a lot of people are like self-censored a lot and like have a lack of empathy nowadays. That's the big problem.
Right, they don't empathize with the person because it's more of an anonymous conversation. Yeah.
There's like a lot of disunity across the nation between the two sides. It's just like there's never any real argument about why you choose one side or the other. It's always just trying to fight and explain why the other side is the bad guy.
Right, why, yes, the other, whoever, the
They're
other.
trying to self-seek the most, trying to make the other seem like the
Yeah.
worst option.
Yeah, othering, yeah. Those are some great points. I like that. So I would hope that, again, since you're all here at Premier Boys State, that you would not be engaging in any of this negative behavior that we were just hearing about. I think you want to make sure that when you are out and about, whether it be in your local community or on vacation or in your future endeavors at school or work, wherever it may be, that you want to treat people with respect. You know, there might be some disagreements, and that's fine. Disagreements are okay. I'm not suggesting that you always just have to give in and go along, but what we're going to try to talk about is ways that you can work through some of that without being disagreeable. There, you know, you want to have people who are more willing to collaborate, more willing to compromise than just yell and scream the loudest and try to get their way, right? Okay. So civility often gets confused with simply being nice. You know, we're not talking about singing songs, holding hands, walking down the street together. That, you know, that is one definition of civility, I guess. But what we're trying to talk about here is more in how you conduct yourself in a conversation or in a debate, in an argument. We're not trying to talk about, you know, walking down the street holding hands. So civility is a controlled strength. Like I said at the top, if you feel that fire starting to burn up or starting to escalate inside of you, you're going to have that, and you're going to try to turn that again into like a controlled strength. It's keeping your cool when you'd rather explode on somebody, right? It's standing up for something without tearing other people down, right? You can have an opinion, you can be very, very strong in your beliefs. You don't have to attack the other person, either physically or verbally. You don't have to attack the other person to stand up for your beliefs. It doesn't mean, like I said, it doesn't mean agreeing with everybody. It means, you know, disagreeing without being disagreeable. And don't be disrespectful. It's a skill, and it is something that you have to kind of practice because it is so much easier, I think, for people to just fly off the handle, right? But to have this controlled response is something that you kind of have to think about, you have to learn, and you have to practice. So let's think about like your friend groups. Think about when you're in these kind of friend spaces. You're out, you're hanging out with your buddies, whatever it may be. Do you have an example of a time where somebody crossed the line and it instantly became awkward, like that they had just gone too far for that friend group?
Yes.
What's your example?
I ain't saying.
Oh, it's that bad, he doesn't want to share.
I ain't saying.
What about your example?
There was a guy who just broke up with his girlfriend,
Okay.
and it was a girl he actually really liked. It was like they broke up because of other circumstances, not because they didn't want to be together.
Mm-hmm.
And immediately one of the other guys started trashing her, trying to like defend him, and it was like everyone's like, dude, don't stop, and he never stopped. And eventually, he kind of went too far into what he was saying.
Okay. What's your example?
I was like talking about like the Israel sometimes in my friends.
Yeah.
Stuff that's like super radical on both sides, and you just like a lot of people just like left the conversation because of that.
Yeah, like they just took that political conversation too far for the group. Yeah. Yeah.
One of my friends still has a license, and I didn't want to drive him or his girlfriend around, so he said some not nice words to me around like our entire friend group.
Wow. All because you wouldn't chauffeur them around.
Yes.
Wow. Okay, I'm sorry about that.
Someone in the friend group put someone else in the friend group a slur, and that person who said the slur is no longer in the friend group, but it was like pretty close to go this way.
Oh, well, yeah.
A couple months ago, there was this couple in our friend group that broke up, and the girl asked me if I wanted to go to prom with her, and then when he found out, he just started talking smack about me everywhere, and he would also said it on our lunch table.
Anyway.
He would also said it on our lunch table too, and act like nothing happened.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So then let's think about a different aspect. Have you all been on a team of some kind, of sports team maybe? And in that situation, maybe you're in the locker room after practice or after a tough game or something, and one of the teammates starts trashing the coach, or maybe trashing the team in general, or complaining about the play that lost the game. Can somebody give me an example of how that unfolded? Yeah, you got it now.
Okay, so it was the JV game, and then our quote-unquote star player posted on his story saying this entire team's trash and everybody sucks.
Wow. Like after the game, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good example. Yes.
We lost one of our games by like a decent margin. I played football, and one of the guys who sits on the sidelines the entire game doesn't even do anything, started trashing all of the teammates who were actually playing, and ended up eventually getting a little bit too close to home because there was one of our star players he's an orphan, and he was abandoned, and he brought up that point and said there was a reason why he got abandoned.
Well, yeah, so definitely crossing the line
You
there.
got kicked off the team for saying that.
Yeah.
No, this wasn't me, but some girl, she like lost her swimming competition, and so she kind of like blew up on her story. And she's like, everyone sucks, the judges suck, and like, I hate every single person I went up against. You guys don't deserve to go to like a competition, and like, it's not fun to be around you guys. And like, I think she like, I don't know what happened to her, but it was pretty intense.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
Same thing that he was talking about, Bruno, our coach, something on his story, after the senior night, he lost, and he didn't talk to anyone, and I went to him in Jersey, and he just like punished me for it.
Oh.
Yeah.
You got one up here? We'll end up here with these two.
So this one guy, I'm one of my dad's questions, would like frequently and obnoxiously try and correct everyone else, like for the coach, and like ignore his own flaws. And eventually the coach got so sick of it that he made us all run suicides because the kid would not be quiet.
Oh, wow.
So we all had to pay the price for this.
All paid the price for his behavior. And the last one on this one?
One time, my cross country team, we missed state as a team, and one of my teammates, instead of like still like celebrating and being happy with us, and like I mean obviously not being happy that we missed, but being happy that we made it sectional as a team and everything. With us, instead of doing that, he started trashing everybody for having a bad race. And saying how, like, he went up to one of our particular teammates who had a bad day, and he said, how in the world are you this slow? You've never been this slow before. You're terrible dragging this team down. And my coach chewed him out for a while, but.
Yeah. Now, in all these examples that you guys gave, I'm guessing that the team aspect, the team dynamic, that camaraderie that was built, in some cases it's like into the season, right? And all of this work that you put in for the whole season, and then these instances that you've given as examples, I'm guessing pretty much crashes the morale, right? Like the dynamic is gone at that point, right? And in some cases it might go the whole off season and never really recover, right? And so that's not something that is beneficial to the team or to you personally in that experience. So, you know, that's where you want to make sure that you're being, you're injecting that civility into the conversation. And think about this in your future, or maybe some of you are working now. In your future, maybe you're going to college, maybe you'll have internships, maybe you're going to get a job. You know, when you're in these types of roles, hiring managers, directors of departments, you know, they don't want to hire people who yell and scream to always get their way or to always be right. They want to hire people because that you can work with people, you can interact. The people skills aspect of an employee is a lot more important in many cases than the knowledge or what you're going to be doing on the job, because that's trainable. In a lot of cases, the job that you're in or the internship that you're in, they don't have the time or the capabilities of teaching people skills, so they'd much rather hire people with good people skills and then train them on how to do the work that they need to do. You know, if you want to be a leader at school, you know, you're going into your senior year, you want to be a leader when you leave school, maybe you're going into college, maybe in a future job, you have to be calm, you have to be able to bring calm into a situation. You definitely don't want to bring in any chaos. You don't want to introduce things into that conversation that will cause the conversation to go off the rails. I want you to think of somebody that you respect. Like, think about somebody right now in your life who you respect. Maybe it's a teacher or a coach, a friend, whoever it may be. Think about this person. Now, think about what it is about them that you respect, or why it is that you respect them. Okay, you got that? I'm guessing that you're not thinking about them right now because they yell the loudest, or they bully the people to their position, right? I'm guessing you're not thinking about how they can just keep talking and talking until they get what they want, right? So think about this, and maybe you're thinking about them because they can remain calm under pressure, that they can convince people to de-escalate in a situation maybe it's getting a little heated, right? So you think about these aspects that you admire in the people that you respect, and you want to kind of figure out ways that you can emulate that and model that as you're going forward in life, right? One of my favorite quotes from the famous American poet Maya Angelou is, "When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time." It's much better to be around people who are grounded, who are calm, who bring the calm and not the chaos, right? Because there is a high cost to incivility. Imagine if I was running this presentation and if I was up here acting like this, do you think that it would be going as well as it is right now? Do you think that you would have any respect for me if this was the kind of behavior that I was exhibiting right now? No, of course not. There is a cost to incivility. We talked about it earlier in some of the examples that you gave. You talked about, you know, the community is nice unless this thing happens, or that the conversation online is great until this happens. So you already know, you already have witnessed or experienced the cost of incivility. The community will break down, right? People will stop listening to each other. Walls will go up. The tribalism starts, and people taking to their separate corners, right? And they, in some cases, the online drama explodes, and it may even, if it's locally, it may even spill over to in-person drama, right? And we don't want any of that, because the doors start to close down around you, the friendships, the opportunities, possibilities, all start to close down around you if you're not able to interact in a more civilized manner. So think about just how fast respect can be lost. Does somebody have a good example of a situation where either you were involved or you witnessed, and it just, this person who had been so well respected, all of a sudden, it's all lost? Yeah.
One of my friends was spreading like personal information about the one of my friends, and now like that friend is just completely isolated. Like nobody I know has any respect for him.
Right, all because of spreading the gossip and the rumors. Yeah.
There was a teacher in our school who was like pretty well respected. He was an ex-veteran. He was a very like authoritative guy, but he was very well known to just be very like kind and caring. But one day, there was like a story about it. We don't really know the full reason because of rumors. But he, in somewhere or another, ended up in the girls' locker room and was immediately fired. So
Yeah.
I don't know the reasons behind it, but he
Not
lost
good.
all respect on that.
Right. Yeah.
There was a luncheon at a school, and this kid, he's like our president, everyone liked him, he seemed like a real like genuine person. He like, told me that he was gonna vote for me if I voted for him. And I was like, and he like, and we'd been talking for like a while, and I just met him, so I like, thought he was like a real good guy. He actually just told everyone that.
Oh.
But he ended up losing, so like, it doesn't matter. But,
Right.
I liked him after that.
But yeah, you just destroyed his credibility. He's going to tell everybody that he would vote for everybody.
Saw you comparing what he said.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Let's go up there. We'll come back over here.
We were waiting in line for a meal one time, and then someone made a comment that was not all right in any type of way, and then anybody with respect was out the door after that.
Yeah. Just from waiting in line together, right? What do you got for me?
This didn't happen until the second number, but we had a new hire, and our, like, the manager that's been there the longest, like, I don't know what was going on in her mind, but she just, like, kept on bullying and harassing him to the point where he quit, and he said he would rather work at a restaurant full of crackheads than a taxi manager.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. What do you got?
There was a guy in my school who did not respect him exactly the way he should, and nobody knew about it until he finally did something, and so now he has no friends except for people that had no clue anything about him.
Wow. Yeah, so just from, yeah, it's bad.
I had a Spanish teacher that was a girl, and she was like respected by everybody in school, there for like 10 years, 12 years, and then she got caught and arrested, and she was like doing stuff with a bunch of boys at her school. And then she went to a different school and got caught again.
My goodness. Wow. Okay. Hold these thoughts, guys. Hold on. Let's move on here. So we talked a little bit about here, like we're talking about, there's a high cost of instability. You heard about some of these great examples. Hold on. Now the next thing we want to talk about is putting civility in action. We have some action steps up here that I want to go through with you. So, how do you do this? Well, you want to listen to understand. Listen to understand. Now that might be read if you're online, if it's an online kind of thing, but listen to understand. Don't just reply, right? Don't just, first thing that comes to your head, and you're just going to blurt it out, or first thing that you think about typing in this exchange. You want to listen to understand what they're trying to get at. You want to disagree with ideas, not with people, okay? You can be very passionate about whatever your side of the debate is. You can disagree with the other side of the debate, and that is perfectly fine, but you're not going to serve your position, you're not going to win the argument by trash talking the other person as a person, right? You're not going to be able to attack them or some characteristic of that. We have some of these in the examples. There is nothing to be gained from personally attacking the other person. You want to attack the ideas, the position, whatever their side is, and not attack them personally. You want to stay calm, even when things get tense, right? So you've probably witnessed, maybe in person, maybe online, that you see this kind of two-sided thing going on, and one person is remaining very calm and kind of sticking to their position and just sort of there, and then the other person is like all off, you know, being crazy and out of control. And, you know, typically when you're witnessing that kind of situation, you're more likely to side with the person who's staying calm. You're more likely to want to say, oh, well, you know, this person knows what they're talking about, or this person knows what they're doing because they're remaining calm. They're sticking to their position, but they're not getting out of control. And then know when to speak and when to let it go. If you're getting to like a resolution and things are going well, you know, you want to make sure that you're not bringing up older points, that you're not, you know, sort of inflaming the argument by not just letting it go if it's time to let it go. It's time to come to an agreement. Sometimes you have to compromise. You don't need to have things go too far. So now that we have these action steps up here, is there anybody out here in the audience who would like to volunteer and think that they could role play out one of these situations we've been talking about? You got you two right here. If you want to come up here?
Bobby, dude.
Yeah. So let's think about one of these situations we've been talking about. You guys prepared to kind of role play one of those for us? Yeah? Okay, so now, in the first instance, can we role play a situation without any regard to civility? Maybe it's one of the bad examples that we've been hearing about today.
Yeah.
You good? You want to do that? Okay, so let's do that. You all take it away. Give us an example of what not to do.
You know, I don't think that pineapple deserves to be on pizza at all.
Are you kidding me right now?
I said
Pineapple 100%. This is what I don't like about people who wear shirts like that. They think that pineapple doesn't deserve to be on pizza. You look dumb. Get out of this room now.
Wow! Round of applause. Fire! Yeah, we just exploded out in you, right? Okay, now, hold on, let's see. Can you convert and start using civility?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah? Okay, let's take it away.
I don't think the pineapple should be on pizza at all. I mean, it's just not the right flavors on the pizza.
I totally hear you, man. It's just the flavors of the pineapple mixed with the flavors of the cheese and the sauce. It really just mixes together and it makes my taste buds kind of go crazy. So I understand your perspective. I really believe that pineapple does deserve to be on pizza. I do love that show. Thank you.
That's awesome. Good job.
Way to go, Jack. You look so handsome.
I gotta say, I gotta tell y'all, I'm in the no pineapple camp, but you almost had me convinced. That was really good. That was really good. So, you can see, I mean, it was a great example. It was sort of a topic that you could imagine, maybe online, but even within your own friend group, you could imagine people disagreeing about pineapple on pizza, right? And then just as I gave them, 15 seconds to think about how they were going to act that out. And then another 10 seconds to correct it with civility. So it can be done on the fly even. You just have to put a little bit of effort into it and you'll probably get a better result. Now, let's have you just sort of, not yet, but when I say go, let's have you just sort of talk to the person next to you, or a couple people next to you. I want you to just do a couple of minutes here. And I'm going to give you some situations that might come up in your future endeavors or whatever. So just talk amongst the couple of people next to you. And what you need to do is come up with, hold on, wait for it. Come up with the uncivil way to handle the situation I'm going to give you. And then, of course, come up with the more civil way to handle the situation, okay? So you're gonna do, just like you saw the example, you're gonna do the uncivil and then the civil. So the first one I want you to talk about and come up with the civil and uncivilized is someone keeps interrupting you in a group discussion. So take a couple minutes and talk about that. Someone keeps interrupting you in a group what to do when somebody keeps interrupting during a group discussion. So who would like to give me what they came up with, talking amongst yourselves, and who would like to give me the uncivilized approach? Let's go up here first.
So I feel like a lot of people, myself included, can be guilty of instead of like telling the person that interrupted you like the first time, you just like let it go on and like yourself get like more upset, and so like eventually get so frustrated that like you might end up yelling at them or like let you speak.
Yep. Who's next? Over here?
Just like a civilized way I handle it, if it's like not like a class discussion, it's just like a discussion with friends. If I have someone who keeps talking over me, I'm gonna wait till they finish their point and try and talk to them. But if they never actually let me talk, I'm just gonna walk away from the conversation, because if they don't ever let me get my point out, it's not worth just trying to discuss with them. But I only care about seeing one point rather than you trying to sell points.
Well, that's true. I mean, it is better. So you're given the civilized or the more civility approach, right? And yeah, I mean, it is better to walk away than to blow up on somebody, right? So that's good. Yeah. Who else has an uncivilized? Sorry if I was confusing there. Uncivilized. Let's do these two. Let's go with you first.
Uncivilized, just like start screaming out and causing conflict.
Yeah, pretty easy. Yeah.
Accusing someone of being a communist because they're not being taught.
Oh, yeah, that would be a good one. Yeah. And we'll do one more uncivilized approach. Hold on.
Sure, right back to them, certain days try to speak over and louder.
Right. Yeah, there's no benefit there to just getting into a yelling argument, right? Or yelling at you. Okay, then, so in the group discussion problem, what would be the civilized way, the more civility way to respond?
A good way that I do it myself is by saying, yo, bro, chacho, I'm trying to express my point right now.
Do you really use the word brochacho?
It's everybody's mistake.
Brochacho. Okay. These are all new words to me, but I like it. I'm here for it. Yeah. Hold on, guys, listen up, one at a time.
I thought a good way is just to keep talking, and eventually they'll either realize that they were being rude, or they'll either keep talking and look stupid because two people are talking at the same time and you were talking first.
I guess if you can maintain constant volume, that wouldn't be too bad, right? Okay. How about you two right next to each other?
I would say maybe address somebody like I understand it's like to voice opinion, but let somebody while they're talking telling them objective.
Yeah. What about you?
What I would say man, I appreciate what you have to say, but it'd be great if you could let me finish before you talk.
I appreciate what you have to say. Let me finish before you start talking. Yep. Okay, next example, or next thing I want you to talk about amongst yourselves. So think about like if you're on a team and one of your teammates is constantly showing up late, maybe late to practice, maybe even late to matches or whatever. So think about if the teammate is constantly showing up late, how would you go about that in talk amongst yourselves first. How would you go about that in an uncivilized manner, with no civility, and then one where you would use civility? So I'll give you a couple Okay, so now what about using civility in this conversation? Using civility when the teammate is constantly late.
I'd say, hey, molecule, are you need help? Is it like
That's great. Yes, actually offering to help. Now, you got to understand why are they being late? Yeah.
I would talk to them privately, understand why, and let them know that they're important to the team as well.
That's great. Yeah, talk to them privately. Hold on, guys. Hold on. You know what's going on in their life. Absolutely. We'll take you up here and then one more.
Well, like, so this is actually happening to some kid on my team who's actually going to play a pretty important role. And so at first, it was actually kind of uncivil because when people were finding out he wasn't at practice, they're kind of calling him like a bum and like we don't know where he is, what he's doing and stuff. And so I was trying to reach out to him and I tried to tell him, and I mean, I think one common problem with kids like these is that they don't really listen, and he kind of would just walk past me and not really pay attention. So I actually brought it up to a coach. I was like, this kid's not coming, like he's pretty important, I don't know where he is, and I don't know why like the coaches aren't really doing anything about it, especially since they're serious about football. And he kind of just told me that it's being dealt with and that like there's actually problems that are probably underlying under the table, and so I feel like that was kind of eye-opening to me because that never really occurred to me that he could be going through something.
Right, so because you don't know,
yeah.
Right? And if you had just taken an incivil approach, that wouldn't have gone very well, would it? And let's take one more. Is there somebody we haven't heard from very much? One more. Oh well, I guess it's on you.
I was gonna say like, obviously they got somebody going at home, make them feel valued as teammates. And like, personally, with me, I have a car, like offer them a ride if they need it, like help get in the practice if you need, and let them know that they're a valued teammate, and I'll help them if they need anything.
I like that, absolutely. Yeah, offer to help, because you don't know what's going on. And if they take you up on the offer, then you've solved the problem as well. Okay, so why does this matter? Why does this matter to you? Because it matters. Civility is what separates guys who react from guys who lead. Guys who react from guys who lead. If you are trying to be a leader in life, if you're trying to be a leader in school and in your future career, if you're trying to be a leader and you don't have any followers, you're just a guy out for a walk. Okay? So you want to make sure that you are using civility and not reacting in an incivil way. It's also, as you know, it's not about giving in. It's not about just being agreeable or being a pushover. All of these different examples we've used today, there was a way to resolve a disagreement or to work on a debate where it wasn't that you had to give in. You know, we gave lots of good examples where you were able to use civility and resolve the situation. So it's not about giving in, it's not about being a pushover, it's about being the kind of person somebody can trust, that somebody can look up to, that somebody can respect. It's about like giving somebody a ride, trying to understand what's going on with somebody is why they're late. That's what it's about. It's you know, showing strength when it would be easier to just look the other way, or worse, to pop off, or you know, have a meltdown, or some of those other examples that we were talking about, right? You want to use that strength, you want to use this civility to make the situation better, to get a better end result for you and everybody involved. You will stand out, not by yelling the loudest, but by staying grounded when others aren't, okay? You will, even if you're not the team captain, even if you're not the lead in that project, if you remain calm, if you use some civility in the situation, you will stand out and you will be respected by other members of the team or the organization. So, I want you to think of one situation right now where you can choose civility in this week here at Boise State. Think about one situation where you could choose to use civility for your time here at Boise State. You got a good example for me? No. So you got a good example for me.
Maybe if you lose an election and the candidate who beat you comes up to you and says that congratulations, you should just shake their hand and just be cool about it. Don't
Yes.
go around and stuff.
Yes. Classic example right there.
Yeah, see, versus the other guy.
Yeah, you're right. You call to congratulate or you say congratulations to the other person. Where is an example this week that you can use civility voice state?
If an opponent has given you a slanderous nickname, you don't give them one back.
Right. There's nothing's going to be served from that. Absolutely. What do you got? Yes. Another classic example. Just think back to like examples of Little League. You always go and you high five the other team, no matter who wins or loses. Do you have an example for me?
Yeah, opposite of what he said, maybe if you win an election, you know, don't go around like acting all crazy, but be humble about it and respect all the people that ran with you.
Absolutely. And we'll take this last one.
Like having discussions with people in your city on how to use like shared resources and shared spaces.
Yes, yeah, exactly. We got a finite amount of resources here we got to share, right? And it's not about bullying the person into getting what you want. It's about having a conversation about what's best for everybody, right? Absolutely. Great example. So, remember, this can be expanded, obviously, from when you leave here. We want you to think about these types of things. We want you to remain calm in a stressful situation. We want you to be able to control that fire and turn it into a strength, right? You want to make sure that you choose civility in all of your interactions going forward with your friends, with your family, at work, at school. We would like for you to be that model citizen that we know you can be. So it's not easy. It's powerful though to use civility because civility is leadership, civility is strength, civility is something desirable in a situation. You want to be the one who brings this respectful approach, even when it's not given to you, as we saw in some of these examples, because that's what men of character do, and that's what I know you can do in your future endeavors. Thank you very much.